In this video, I'm going to speak about a polymer, but not just any polymer. I will be discussing polytetrafluoroethylene, or PTFE for short. This incredible and revolutionary molecule brings more to the table than just uses for various applications. And in this video, I will tell and show you all exactly why PTFE is an amazing polymer to use. PTFE is made from monomers of tetrafluoroethylene through a process called free radical vinyl polymerization. The process works like this. First off, an initiator molecule falls apart into initiator fragments, each with unpaired electrons. These are called radicals. The electrons of these fragments are attracted to the double bonded carbons within the PTFE monomers, so naturally they react with the monomer to begin the steps of polymerization. Due to the constant making of these radicals, more and more monomers are added to the reaction, which adds to the overall chain. The polymerization typically concludes with a termination reaction called coupling. Coupling is when the ends of the chain meet each other to connect the polymer chain, and once completed, you have your shiny and new PTFE polymer. PTFE, also known as Teflon, is a very unique polymer in terms of its characteristics. Teflon is a nonpolar molecule, but its carbon-fluorine bonds are polar covalent by nature due to their difference in electronegativities. What makes the polymer nonpolar is the full structure of its bonded monomers. Their evenly distributed charges and even lines of symmetry made by the fluorine atoms cancel the polarity out, making the full polymer nonpolar. PTFE is filled with halogens, specifically fluorine atoms. Every carbon atom is bonded to two fluorine atoms. There is cross-linking with PTFE, but only under specific conditions. It only occurs when the polymer is exposed to high quantities of alpha radiation at room temperature. Tetrafluoroethylene, or TFE, can be made through the synthesis reaction of hydrofluoric acid, fluorspar, which is a mineral made of calcium fluoride, and chloroform. These reactants are synthesized under high temperatures, and once TFE gas is produced, it is converted to liquid form, making it easier to store. The reaction is also typically initiated using initiators like persulfate. PTFE is then of course polymerized from these new TFE monomers. There are many practical benefits with PTFE, but perhaps the most well-known practical use of it is for non-stick coatings on pots and pans. The polymer uses a two-coat system encompassing of a primer and a top coat. PTFE coating is able to withstand temperatures of up to 316 degrees Celsius, and it is the only fluoropolymer capable of this. Some practical benefits of this application are: it is hydrophobic, it is of course temperature resistant, it has low friction, it has strong corrosion resistance, and it has incredible electrical properties. Several of these benefits are due to the strong bonds the carbon atoms form with the fluorine atoms within PTFE's molecular structure. Other benefits are it has a high surface resistivity and a low dissipation factor, making it a common coating for electrical appliances and a common material used to produce these appliances. Some examples of these electrical appliances are cable guides, connectors, and light fitting. PTFE is also an insulator. It is durable and is largely inert, making it useful in many circumstances and for heavy-duty jobs or when dealing with explosive chemicals. PTFE can even be fabricated to make industrial products such as pumps and pipeliners. The manufacturing process of PTFE does use and produce some toxic byproducts and poisons. Hydrofluoric acid and carbon dioxide are a few examples of these byproducts. Hydrofluoric acid is a corrosive poison that can penetrate tissue and poison you if it touches your skin or is swallowed. But in our modern world, there are so many worse acids and chemicals, and as long as hydrofluoric acid's release is monitored and disposed of away from workers during the production of PTFE, there is no real issue. Polymer fume fever, as they call it, is a sickness suffered by workers who inhale the gaseous byproducts of PTFE polymerization. But there really is nothing to worry about, as it only causes mild symptoms at best. The common flu is worse. And of course, the release of carbon dioxide can harm the overall environment and ecosystem by contributing to climate change. In terms of water pollution, carbon dioxide emissions specifically can affect the carbon cycle of the Earth, which is strongly regulated by the Earth's bodies of water. Increasing the pH of waters can be problematic for marine wildlife and ecosystems, but we are talking about the far future here, and only if PTFE is mass-produced at lightning speed. In terms of the polymer itself and plastic pollution, PTFE is of course completely hydrophobic, meaning most organic compounds that make up the polymer will not be filtered by water treatment, even after the polymer has fully decomposed. But as long as PTFE garbage removal is monitored with strict rules and regulations so it does not become pollution or reach water sources, there is nothing to worry about. And in terms of polymer stability, PTFE is an extremely stable, hard, and strong plastic which can resist high temperatures before beginning to decompose, making it a reliable polymer when producing goods. None of the components of polytetrafluoroethylene seem to mimic biological compounds, but at the same time they are not the most toxic to the environment. They are toxic and can cause harm, but compared to the byproducts and production rates of other polymers and plastics, PTFE can be seen as insignificant. The island of Villi Novi can greatly benefit from the production of this polymer for many reasons, besides just the fact that it can open up industry, jobs, and generate revenue. Try and think about some reasons while I list my reasons. However, keep in mind that the close proximity of an oil refinery is not beneficial to the production of PTFE, as this polymer is not derived from components of oil. First off, the demand for PTFE products on the newly developing island is not through the roof like the demand for other plastic polymers are, meaning the amount of plastic produced can be reduced and monitored to easily prevent plastic pollution and the emission of high amounts of toxic gases. This makes PTFE beneficial in the long term versus short-term plastics causing worldwide pollution problems today. Not to mention on Villi Novi and their associated island, there's a little more space than in highly dense areas to create landfills for PTFE disposal. All they would have to do is ship PTFE garbage to their landfills on their other island, while taking careful precautions to ensure the waste does not make its way into water bodies or adds to plastic pollution on the ground. Dumping is also more environmentally friendly than burning PTFE, and there are many practical benefits and uses with PTFE as listed earlier that Villi Novi could benefit from. But what many don't know is PTFE's use actually originated in the Apollo space program. PTFE was used for the making of astronaut suits and spaceships to protect astronauts from the elements in space. These are extremely useful ideas that Villi Novi could benefit from and use to maybe one day send the next astronauts into space. Tetrafluoroethylene is of course the monomer of PTFE, and the benefit of this monomer is it can be produced in the same factory before making PTFE. This prevents shipping and importing costs for the island if their government does not want to bring in pre-made TFE, and it is safer. Some waste can even be reused and recycled, which is also beneficial for the island, which I will go over later. PTFE takes a long time to decompose, as any plastic polymer does, which isn't always the greatest for pollution and eventual toxicity to nature reasons if PTFE becomes a heavy pollutant. But it can be good for economic reasons, revenue, jobs, and recycling. Why? Well, it can be reused often and recycled, meaning good use can be gotten out of it, and as long as it is not mass-produced, PTFE can be an economic production asset to the island of Villi Novi. Despite PTFE being recyclable, it has no specific symbol as other polymer recycling does. PTFE recycling is typically done to produce tubing, tape, rods, and even lubricants, meaning it is recycled efficiently. With no dedicated and specific recycling system for consumers to recycle this polymer, it is not the most practical, especially since it is toxic to the environment. The pictures you see of a PTFE tube and frying pan in the recycling bin prove this. Dedicated recycling bins for PTFE plastic and recycling regulations are ways the recycling for PTFE can be improved, specifically on Villi Novi. The current recycling is, however, economically feasible. Many products can be made from the recycling as listed earlier, and it does open up opportunities for the economy of Villi Novi and other countries in general to grow in terms of jobs, revenue, and plastic pollution removal. This also makes the polymer recyclable economically. Thanks for watching. I hope this video has showed you exactly why I am for PTFE and why it is a very useful polymer.